He has taken the leap to the next level, as one player in particular needs to bring it to the next level this season if the Rangers are going to find any success. We're going to break down who this is and how this will have serious implications on the New York Rangers roster and their offensive output this season. We're going to break it all down in this episode of Rangers Digest. But before we do that, a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. About 77% of you who watch these videos are not subscribed to the channel. So if you want to stay up to date with everything that's happening with your New York Rangers, this is the place to be for all your daily New York Rangers content. So go down below, hit that free subscribe button because this channel is built for blue shirt fandom. But Bret, let's get right into it. There's one player in particular that quite frankly is going to be relied upon all of a sudden to be a big point producer for this team. And if he doesn't step up to the plate, which full disclosure, I think he will. We'll get into it in a second. They're going to be in some big trouble, but we're going to get to that in just a second. I want to bring up something that has been making the rounds around the league because there's a lot of rule changes going on that are actually being implemented in the league as soon as this season already. And one of them next season in the 2026-27 season is that the regular season is expanding. It's going to 84 games. So really quick, Bret, any thoughts on that? We're getting 2 extra Rangers games a year moving forward. And in addition to that, less preseason games, which a lot of people are really happy about. So any take on this and some of the other rule changes too? LTIR, a lot of teams like Florida, Vegas, what they've been doing to win the Stanley Cup, it's not going to fly starting this season.
Yeah, this is ridiculous, Darius. I'm not happy about this, one bit. Increasing the regular season game schedule from 82 to 84. I've always been a standard 82 game per season kind of guy. You know what this is all about, adding these 2 extra games. Obviously, it's about the dollars. Obviously, it's about revenue for the NHL. That's what they're looking at. I get it, less preseason games, which is a good thing, but in return, we get these extra regular season games, which isn't going to be good for a team like the Rangers that has postseason expectations every single season. We already know how grueling of a sport hockey is. Adding these 2 games is not going to help the health of these players. All it's going to help is the pockets of the people in the NHL that are making these rule changes. Now, when it comes to the Rangers, I rather see those extra games in the postseason, which I'm expecting to see this season because I do believe they will bounce back and make the playoffs. So I don't need to see extra Rangers hockey during the preseason, during the regular season. I need to see it in the postseason.
Absolutely. And I think that you bring up some great points. There is, a higher risk for injury at this point. Of course, some people do want to see extra games and we recognize that, but there's risk for injury. And let's make no mistake about it. We all know it. There is a lull in the season around late November and February, right? And even towards the end of the season, people are just waiting for the playoffs. So now you're adding 2 extra games to that when the playoff race, for the most part, is usually locked up by the end there. So much to ponder about, but this season coming up is the last 82 game season. And speaking about this season coming up, there's one player in particular that we were talking about that needs to step up big, and that is Will Cuylle. He has to take a step forward, that is for sure. And he did and has his entire NHL career, season after season, has been taking steps forward. And you can see this. This is from Yahoo, an article on Yahoo. And, he has to take a big step with his offensive play specifically. I think physically we can all agree, like, he's a force out there. Like, he's, added that to his game, especially at the NHL level. He continues to get better at that. But he has a massive opportunity coming up here this year, Bret. He's playing in the top 6. That's going to happen. He's going to be playing on the left wing on the second line. I don't know if anyone else would beat him out for that position at this point. Chris Kreider is gone. He's going to have to, supply the Rangers with some goal scoring, with some point production that Chris Kreider has left. They're really, relying on a guy like Will Cuylle to step into that role and try and at least mimic a little bit of what Chris Kreider was doing in terms of point production. So what do you make of that? Do you think that he's going to be able to step up to the plate? I think that, again, personally, just what I've seen season after season, he has been taking steps forward, but this is not only a great opportunity, but a lot of responsibility on this player now heading into this year.
Yeah, you nailed it, Darius. He has taken that step forward and he will continue to take that step forward. He's only going to have more responsibility this upcoming season. He's only going to have more responsibility, not only in even strength, but on the man advantage, which will certainly help him in terms of point production. I love Will Cuylle. I'm so happy the Rangers were able to bring him back. This is a homegrown talent. You mentioned the physicality. He brings the physicality, he brings the forechecking. It's very rare that you have a player that hits people the way that he does, but could also put the puck in the net at the type of clip that he can. So, like I said, putting him on the man advantage, giving him more responsibility on the power play, taking some of that responsibility that Chris Kreider used to carry for the Rangers is going to help him as well. Make no mistake about it. I'm not going to sit here, guys, and tell you that Will Cuylle is going to be Chris Kreider. He's going to be the next Chris Kreider, put up 50 goals, something like that. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that Will Cuylle is a very good candidate to replace a guy like Chris Kreider. He brings the physicality, he brings the size, the speed. We heard it all off season. The Rangers want to add players and keep players that bring that size, that speed, that snarl. So he's got the size similar to Chris Kreider. He's got very good speed for his size, maybe not elite speed like Chris Kreider. And he certainly brings that snarl, that attitude that the Rangers were lacking this past season. Hopefully, more players follow his lead, follow JT Miller's lead, bring that aggression and really take it to you playing that north to south style of hockey. But I can't wait to watch Will Cuylle this season, Darius. You mentioned him in the top six. He certainly has earned it. He certainly has earned a spot on that second line left wing, playing to the left of JT Miller and Mika Zibanejad. But one thing I would like to tease here, Darius, is we have heard a lot of chatter in regard to Gabe Perreault. We spoke about it in a previous video. We'll be speaking about it more in future videos, but we heard a lot of chatter about Gabe Perreault and how determined he is to make this Rangers roster on opening night.
Yep.
And I've heard some fans talk about putting him in the best position to succeed. You know, putting him on that third line may not be the answer. So I've
Right.
seen some scenarios with Gabe Perreault playing with Miller and Zibanejad, which would obviously take Will Cuylle out of the top six. But make no mistake about it, guys. Will Cuylle has earned a spot in that top six.
I definitely think he has earned a spot in that top six. And it's an interesting point that people are making about Gabe Perreault. If he is to make the team, he can't play in the bottom six. It doesn't make sense for his development, right? But even going back to last season and, former coach Peter Laviolette, he came out and said that, what Cuylle brings to a lineup is a rare blend that we see with JT Miller as well. That the speed, the size, the physicality, like you were talking about. He had 301 hits last year on top of scoring 20 goals. If he's scoring 20 goals last year in a down year for the entire team, what can he do if the team is back to feeling like themselves, right? Or just this new era of Rangers hockey, which I think we're going to see this season with a lot of new faces in the lineup. And I still include JT Miller in that because we only saw him for a handful of months last season, right? So it's going to be very interesting. And again, a lot of people are expecting big things from this player. Luosterainen on the Florida Panthers, who was praised throughout the playoffs as one of the best third liners in the league, and he offers so much. Will Cuylle had a better season than him, right? So you have to keep all of these things in mind. Obviously, his JFresh chart, he's responsible defensively. Like, this is a player that the way that he plays is infectious, right? We saw it when he blew up Alex Pietrangelo with that amazing hit last year. The whole building came alive and the team came alive, right? Like, moments like that, that's what he can offer, and that's what JT Miller can offer. If you put them on the same line, they're going to lead the way. I think that's very, very exciting. So any final thoughts on Will Cuylle? You bring up a great point about Gabe Perreault as well. Everybody's going to be fighting for spots. I think that Cuylle has probably earned it, but you have to come into camp and play well, right? If you're not going to play well, then they're going to put the next guy in that position, right? Like, they want to have the best team possible. So I think it's going to get very interesting. But any final thoughts on Will Cuylle? Because he's got to take a step forward, and he's got to have a great season for this team to find success.
Yeah, well, Darius, I love the way you articulated it right there, talking about Will Cuylle. He really does have an infectious type of play style. You watch this guy and you just want to run through a brick wall. I mean, he is so fun to watch. And also, when it comes to Will Cuylle, the simplest way I could put it, Darius, is he's just a reliable player. He really is. You could trust him in all three zones. You could trust him on special teams. Mike Sullivan is going to absolutely love this guy because he is an aggressive forechecker, which we know Mike Sullivan loves. He's explosive on the offensive end. Like I said, a 200-foot player. The locker room loves him. I've even heard Rangers fans talking about maybe Will Cuylle as a future captain. I could certainly see it. Maybe in 5 years from now, after either JT Miller, Vincent Trocheck, or Adam Fox take over as captain, I can certainly see Will Cuylle as the next Rangers captain after that. But nevertheless, really excited for the season. And one thing we know, Darius, is that you will have to earn your minutes under Mike Sullivan. So we'll see what happens if Gabe Perreault actually makes the opening night roster, if he does put him in the top six or not. But one thing we do know is that Will Cuylle will be on the roster, and he has certainly earned his stay.
Absolutely. And like you said, this is a new regime at this point. You're going to have to earn your keeps in this lineup. And Brett Berard is going to have something to say about it too in this tweet, obviously bringing up Will Cuylle. But Brett Berard, similar statistics to Lissarainen as well. Or, if you have him in the lineup over the same amount of games played. So could be a very interesting training camp coming up here with a lot of names fighting for very limited spots. And I mean, they acquired Taylor Radish as well, but he's got to try and make the team, right? Like, no spot is going to be given. The Rangers want the best team possible. So I think the healthy competition, like you said, is going to be very, very good come training camp. But let us know how you feel in the comments below about Will Cuylle and the season that he's going to have. We love Will Cuylle over here on the channel. I have his jersey hanging to my left. So let us know how you feel in the comments. The conversation always continues there. It continues on X as well. You can find the link to that in the description. Let us know how you feel. And if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with everything New York Rangers.